Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. Chapter 3. A Body in a Cave. All day, Kazim's wife sat at her window waiting for her husband to come back from the cave. "Where are you, Kazim?" she cried to herself. "Oh, where are you? Why didn't you stay here with me? Why did you look for gold in a cave?" When the sun set and darkness fell over the town, Kazim's wife knew she had to do something. She ran across the town to Ali Baba's house and knocked on the door. When Ali Baba opened it, she entered and cried, "Ali Baba, you must help me. Your brother Kazim has not come back from the cave. He left the house before sunrise with 10 donkeys. He told me he was going there to get some gold. I waited by the window for him all day. I am sure that something terrible has happened to him. Please help me, Ali Baba. What shall we do?"
"Don't worry," said Ali Baba. "I will take my donkeys into the forest and look for him. Go home and wait for me. I will be back soon, and I promise that I will bring my brother with me." So Ali Baba got his 3 donkeys from the barn and set off to the forest. As he walked, Ali Baba looked for his brother among the trees and called out his name, but he did not see or hear anyone. "I can't find Kazim, and I can't find his 10 donkeys," Ali Baba said to himself. Did Kazim find the cave? Did he get any gold? Perhaps his wife is right and something terrible has happened to him. Then as I approached the cave, Ali Baba saw some blood on the ground. "This is a bad sign," he thought. Then he said, "I will go into the cave and see if Kazim is there." He left his 3 donkeys under a tree and stood in front of the big grey rock. He said the password, "Open Sesame." As the door slowly opened, Ali Baba saw a terrible sight. A man's body hung from the roof of the cave. When he looked more closely, Ali Baba saw that it was his brother, Kazim. He fell to his knees and cried. "My poor Kazim," he said. "He was a greedy man, but he was my brother, and now a group of thieves has killed him because he was so greedy." He went into the cave and found some gold bars wrapped in a large white cloth. He tipped out the gold and wrapped Kazim's body in the cloth. Then he carried it out and put it on the back of one of the donkeys. He covered the body with wood so that no one could see it. Ali Baba did not want anyone to find out about the treasure and the 40 thieves. Then he went back into the cave. "I'll just take a little more gold," he said to himself, "just enough to fill the 4 baskets on my donkeys." He loaded up the other 2 donkeys with gold and covered it with wood. "Close, Sesame," he cried. The stone door closed and Ali Baba set off for home. When he arrived, his wife was waiting for him. "My brother is dead. I have his body on my donkey," he told her. "I am taking it home to his wife." "Oh, poor Kazim. What happened to him?" asked Ali Baba's wife. "Did he go to the cave and get his gold?" "He went to the cave," said Ali Baba, "but then he was killed. I think the thieves came back and caught him. They killed him because he was taking their gold." "Oh, the poor man," cried his wife. "He only wanted a little gold." "Don't tell anyone about this," Ali Baba said. "Now I have to take Kazim back to his wife. While I am away, bury the gold with all the rest." So Ali Baba's wife took the gold and a spade and went outside to bury it. Ali Baba led the donkey, which carried his brother's body, to Kazim's house. He knocked on the heavy wooden door, and a servant girl called Marjaneh came to open it. Ali Baba sighed with relief. He knew that Marjaneh was a clever girl and that he could trust her. When Marjaneh saw her master's body, she put her hand up her mouth and gasped. Her eyes opened wide with fear. "Kazim went to a cave to take some gold," whispered Ali Baba. "The gold belonged to some thieves. They caught him and killed him." "I have an idea," Ali Baba went on. "I will hide the body in the cellar. We will pretend that Kazim is sick and is staying in his room. After 3 days, we will say that he died from his illness. Now go and tell your mistress the bad news. Do not say anything else to anyone about this." Ali Baba hid his brother's body in the cellar and then went back to his own little house. Now that Kazim is dead, he told his wife, Kazim's wives will not want to be alone. I think we should move into his house and take all our gold with us. Also, Kazim's house is much bigger than this one. Marjane, the servant girl, can look after us all. We can pay her with some gold coins. So that evening, Ali Baba, his wife, and their son Khaled moved all their things into Kazim's house. During the night, Ali Baba dug up all their gold and carried it secretly to their new home. The next morning, Marjane, the servant girl, went to the chemist's shop. It was full of people from the town. Marjane spoke loudly to make sure that they heard what she said. I need your help, she cried. A man is very ill and I must buy some pills to make him better. The chemist was mixing some medicine. He looked up. Who is ill, my dear? And what is wrong with him? He asked. It's my master Kazim. He is very sick, replied Marjane with tears in her eyes. He cannot eat or speak and he is in terrible pain. Will you give me some pills for him? The chemist took a jar of little white pills from a shelf and handed them to the girl. Those will make him feel better, he said. Give him 2 pills every hour. Thank you very much, said Marjane. Then she went home and waited. The next morning, she went back to the chemist's shop again. She spoke loudly so that all the other customers in the shop could hear what she said. My master Kazim is not better, she told the chemist. In fact, he is getting worse. I think he is going to die. Will you give me some medicine for him to take away the pain? The chemist shook his head. I am very sorry to hear that Kazim is so ill, he said. He handed a small bottle to Marjane. Let him drink 2 spoonfuls of this. It will make him sleep. Thank you very much, said Marjane. Then she went home and waited. The next evening, as the sun was going down, some people were passing Kazim's house. They heard a dreadful cry. It was Kazim's wife. Kazim is dead, she screamed. My poor dear husband is dead. Oh, what shall I do? Marjane went to see Mustafa, the old tailor. Mustafa, she said, and put a gold coin in his hand. People tell me that you are the best tailor in the town. I have a difficult job for you. There has been an accident. A man is dead. We want you to make him a beautiful suit so we can bury him properly. We will pay you well, but you must not tell anyone about it. He was killed by a sword and no one must see the mark. Mustafa looked at the gold. I will do it, he said, but I will need more gold if you want me to keep it a secret. You can have more gold, replied Marjane, but you must not tell anyone. I can't tell you who the man was or where he lived. When I take you to his house, you must wear a blindfold over your eyes. Very well, said Mustafa. I will do as you say. Pick up your needles and your thread, Marjane said to him, and come with me. She took off her shawl and tied it firmly around the tailor's head. Can you see anything? She asked him. Not a thing, the tailor replied. Good. We will go to the house at once, she said. Marjane led Mustafa to Kazim's house. When they arrived, she took him to the cellar. She took off Mustafa's blindfold and the old man looked at the body. Do you want me to make a suit for him? It is a difficult job, he said. I will need more gold. You shall have it, replied Marjane, and she put 2 more gold coins in the tailor's hand. But you must start sewing at once. We must bury this man tonight. So Mustafa picked up one of his needles and some thread and started to sew. Mustafa sewed for a long time. Marjane waited impatiently. When the tailor had finished making a beautiful silk suit for Kazim, he packed up his needles and his thread. Then Marjane put his blindfold on again. She led him back to his tailor's stall. Remember, do not tell anyone, she said, and she put 3 more gold coins into his hands. You can trust me, said the old man. I can keep a secret as well as any man. When they arrived at the tailor's stall, Marjane took back her shawl and put it round her shoulders. Now continue with your sewing, Mustafa, she said. Forget everything that has happened today. For a little while, Marjane stood behind an oil seller's stall and watched the tailor. She wanted to make sure that he did not try to follow her home, but he stayed at his stall and began to make a pair of grey trousers. Then Majene went back to Kazim's house where Ali Baba and the two wives were waiting for her. "We can bury him now," Majene said as she took off her shawl. Ali Baba and the two wives dressed the body and took it to the cemetery. An imam said prayers for Kazim and the three women began to cry. Ali Baba looked down at the ground and wept for his dead brother. After the burial, Ali Baba's wife said, "We are living in Kazim's house, but what shall we do about his shop? Who will look after it?" Ali Baba thought for a moment. "I will give the shop to our son Khaled," he said.